Accudemia monthly session. Normally we have this session every second Tuesday of the month from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern. Today, the reason why we did this is in the last update that we gave you, it was on last month's 12.2 update. We want to just make sure that you guys are up to speed with the 12.3 update that just released this past weekend. Just kind of before we get started here, just some announcements that we have. So the first one that I'd like to let you guys know about is coming up in May on the 7th. We do our keynote series typically around the first week every month actually, and that's usually from 1 to 2:30 p.m. Eastern. This next session is going to be with the speaker Ashley Chandler. She's with Stephen F. Austin State University, and she's going to be talking about diversity and tutoring modalities. So if you'd like to learn more about that, we're going to have some links in the recording up when it's posted on the web. So we've got the registration link and also where you can go back and look at our previous keynote speakers that we've had. Additionally, I'd like to let you guys know about our Academic Center Summit that's happening in 2027. So you have plenty of time to go ahead and get registered for that. But we do have, that's going to be in February on the 7th through the 9th. And this session is going to be basically partially like our keynote speakers as well as academia training sessions. So you'll get to network with your colleagues in the industry and also get to learn more about academia as well as topics that are relevant in your profession. So we'd hope to see you out there. Additionally, we're going to provide a link for a survey that we'd like you to take. It's going to be about helping us improve the academia system, and we're trying to focus on usability and going over anything that's frustrating to you. So we want to get that information, and hopefully these will be things that we'll see in future releases. So if you can take a few minutes to complete that survey, it will also be uploaded with the recording. You should see that in the notes section on that recording. All right, and to begin, we're going to go ahead and go through the 12.3 update. I'm Nick Armstrong. I'm with the software support team manager, and we got a lot of updates here to kind of cover. So I've got basically 5 major things that we're going to cover with some honorable mentions that also came out in this latest update. For those honorable mentions, just kind of covering those really quick. We have sample documents now to give you an example of what you could upload to train the AI assistant on your center's procedures. And that's one of the new features where you can basically upload documents to Wiggins, and he'll be able to help your students and staff with any questions that they may have, general questions about that. And we have some sample documents now that are available through the website for that. Also, we went through, and one of the complaints were, the naming wasn't consistent with the name of the report versus the labels in the report section. So when you go to data analytics and reports, these are now going to be matching with the name of the report when it's printed out. And then let's go ahead and get right into it. So the first thing that we want to talk about is an easier dashboard configuration now with a visual editor. Before, we used to have all these settings kind of locked away in the control panel, and you had to go to appearance and themes and kind of just choose the order. It was really kind of something that you couldn't visualize until you went back and seen it in the home page, or you logged in as that type of user. So to try to help with this, we've basically made it to where you can do that straight from the home page itself. So when you log in as an admin, and you have the ability to edit settings, you're going to be able to customize the dashboard for each user role. And to do this, you're going to start, like I said, from the home page and then hit the Edit Default Dashboard. So this default dashboard is going to be able to be set for each role. It's just similar to the settings, if you're familiar with them, when they were in the control panel, but along the top, we're going to have tabs for students, tutors, instructors, and system admins. And so each of those users, you can customize those roles. So let's go ahead and take a look at that in Accudemia. Okay, and here's my Accudemia account. And I've actually already logged in as an admin. So I've got that. But I do have multiple roles. So one of the things that I'd like to point out a little bit before we do this is just viewing those different roles. So right now I can see that I'm a system admin and a staff or tutor. These are the roles that I've assigned myself in the system, and it does use your terminology. So for whatever center that you have selected here, if I go to advising, it's going to change that to advisor and so on and so forth. So that's, I think, the first step is really just making sure you select your center if you have multiple centers that you're working with. And then, seeing it as that role. This is really only a view for yourself though, based on the roles that you have assigned. So you may need to assign yourself other roles if you wanted to see those. Maybe you want to give yourself the student role or tutor, just to be able to see those things here. But I can go in here and edit their default dashboard. Okay, once I'm in here, like I said, across the top, we're going to have the different roles. So first I might want to work on like my students to see, what exactly they're seeing. So these used to be, like I said, modules that you could just number. And what's cool about this is now I can actually just click and drag to move these things around. So if I didn't want the messaging to be the first thing that they saw, I could go ahead and click and drag those along in the row, sorry. And then also, I can also move the rows around. So like, for instance, they each have like this little handle here. You can see it makes like a little hand symbol. So I could move this up above if I wanted, like, let's say my tutor schedule to show up at the top of the page. Any widgets that I had previously hidden in that area will still show up as hidden. So we did actually translate that from the settings that you were using before. So you can see in here I had a managed center, which would show like the waiting line and things like that to the student. And maybe I didn't want that because we don't really have a wait line. And I also had a moderator role, which I wouldn't assign to a student. So those were things that I already had hidden. If I wanted to pull those over, like let's say, on some days we do have a waiting line, I could go ahead and just pull that and add it to either one of these rows that already are existing, or add a new row. And in here, I can actually see if I want to make those like one widget all the way across, two widgets. So if I wanted to make these side by side, I could do that. And you can see it automatically adjusts the visuals based on what those are. I can go ahead and remove that as well if I want to keep that hidden by clicking the little eyeball. And I can make it 3 columns just as easy. Now this one I feel like works best in the single row, so I'm going to leave it there. If I don't want to use like the click and drag feature because maybe I have a smaller screen or whatever, I can also use the up and down arrows to move this. So I'm going to go ahead and move that back where it was. So I just hit the down arrow and you can see that it went to the second row. If I don't like this arrangement that I have here, I can also remove the whole section or whole row just by hitting this delete. And then all of those modules go over there on the right side so that they can be used again. Let's say now, you know what, I did want to add the, let's say, what was it, upcoming appointments here is a good one. So I go ahead and hit add. And if I scroll down, because they're going to add them to the bottom here, you can see the upcoming appointments. And it did default to 2 columns because those are what they normally see. But maybe I want to make that in a single column and have that at the top. So probably the best thing is to either drag it or move that up. And you can see it'll follow the current widget that you're on, so it makes sense. You can kind of see me jumping up to the top. And now I've got that back to the top. If I want to restore the way it was, I can go back to 3 rows and then pull over once it's already been added and I've set to three columns, sorry. I can go ahead and add these back if I want to. Okay, and that's the way it was before, but I did like the way it was, so I was just kind of showing those. And you have all the same widgets that you had before, so there's nothing that's not in the options. One other thing to note, once I am done, you want to go ahead and just save for all students so that it updates that view. If you had that role, you could actually view it how they would see it at that point. Okay, and another thing too, just before we're going all over these updates, these will only apply to Accudemia license clients. If you have a Lite or Essentials account, you're still going to have the same homepage that you had before. The next thing, option 2, is now each user can customize their own dashboard. So instead of using the default, and really when they customize their own dashboard, it will start off as the default that you'd set for them, but they can remove things or move things around as they see needed. Maybe the student doesn't schedule appointments and just wants to see their visits, if that was something that you gave them access to, and vice versa. So again, you can see, based on all the roles that you have, what options are available by choosing it in the dropdown. And then once you do that, you can go ahead and customize my dashboard. So let's take a look at that again in the system. All right, so here we are, and I'm a system admin, so I'm going to go ahead and customize my dashboard. Keep in mind this does not affect anyone else, so I'm literally at this point using the available widgets that the admin of my account set up for me, and I can basically now move these around. So if in my world, I don't want those things shown at the top, maybe it's something not relevant to me. So I'm going to go ahead and move those down. Maybe I want to see the visits data because I really like that as an admin. I'm going to move that to the top. And then maybe next is their tutor schedules, so I can see exactly who I have scheduled. I'm going to remove this whole thing because I don't really have my own appointments or have messaging that I use. So I'm going to remove that whole thing. It's very easy. Just hit the delete. And you can see these are the same options, so we're still dragging them around. We're still adding them from the hidden widgets. And yeah, basically totally customizing it. And once I am done, like I like what I have going on, just always remember to go back up to the top and you want to save my dashboard. Okay. Now, if you ever go astray and you're like, I don't know what I did, maybe you don't like what you did. So you can always reset back to the center's default. But I'm going to go ahead and save it, and just so you can see. And now for me only, my visits data are showing right up at the top with all the student visits that I'm getting for the center. So that might be really helpful for some. And like I said, this basically improves the visibility of how that is constructed. You're not like on another page, like guessing it, oh, is this going to look right? So hopefully everybody likes that. It was a really big change, and I think it was a really neat feature. So next we have a sign out summary added for when a student does a walk-in. So technically, I think it works with appointments as well, but basically when they sign in at a kiosk, the sign out summary is going to come up, and it's going to basically give them several options. We're going to be able to see by the week or by the semester their total visits, the total time for those visits, and you can also, if you want to, do by course or the center totals as well versus their total sign-ins for all centers. And we'll take a look at this here shortly. But this is also available for both students and staff since they're the ones signing in and out. You can collect, obviously, tutor work hours. So, if they clock in and clock out, they can get that summary. And why this is really helpful is, basically if they have required hours or something like that, they're going to be able to see, okay, I've hit, X number of hours for this week. Maybe for the month they needed a certain amount, so that would help if they could compare that to their semester totals. And it's just a quick visual way. You can also add a sign out message at the bottom and choose how long this stays up for as well. So we go ahead and go to the next section here and just kind of give you a quick, summary before we look at this. These are all the configuration options, so I can say how long that message stays up on the screen before it goes away. And the minimum is 5 seconds. That's what we've always had as the minimum time between the sign-ins. And you can have it as long as 30 seconds. And by the way, this is completely optional. If I don't want to use this, then I don't have to. So it's up to you if you choose to do that. Once we have this here, we have the message that you want to put at the bottom. We can choose the different options like show for the subject area or just all the visit totals for the week or the semester. Once you get that, now we have basically to look at it from a student perspective or from the staff. They're going to be a little different with the staff. Instead of showing by subject, you can also show by the task, but you do have to create those. So let's go ahead and take a look at this in the system. So from the home page, I'm going to go to Administration, Control Panel, and these settings are going to be in the General section, and I'm just going to select the center that I'd like to set these up for. On the left side, I'm going to see Station Student Sign Out screen, and we also have for the tutor here, and these settings are going to be the same kind of in each section, but you can see you could say how long it takes before that message goes away. I'm going to set mine to 5 seconds, just long enough for them to be able to see it, and then the next person can go ahead and sign in. Then I can customize the note. Maybe I want to say we hope you accomplish your tasks and have a nice day, something like that. I don't know, I could change it to whatever. And then if I want to show the subject area totals, which would be for each course that they came in for the week and the term, I can, or I can also choose to just show the visit totals. I can do one or the other or both basically. So however I want to set that. And then same with the tutor sign out. So I could go ahead and say 5 seconds. Maybe I like the same messaging and go ahead and choose whether I show the task totals for the week and term or show all their visit totals for the week and term. So let's go ahead and save those changes. Okay, and then what I can do is test that with a student. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a user. This one is just a student, so we should be able to see what they get. And I'm going to go ahead and go to the sign-in station now. And I could set up and log out. I think I can also do it from here. They're going to come in for in-person walk-in, choose one of their courses, who they want to meet with. Okay, so they've been signed in. And now this is the part we've been waiting for. So we're going to go ahead and sign them out. And you can see this will stay up for 5 seconds. At the bottom, there should be kind of a countdown. That might have been a little quick if I feel like I needed, but you saw a quick summary of the student's information. Now I can do the same thing if I filter on my tutors. I think I have someone here that's a tutor. And we can go ahead and go again to the sign-in station. Like I said, I could set it up as a sign-in kiosk and log out. And go ahead and put in their info. We're going to sign in as a tutor. Now these tasks I didn't show. You'd have to set these up in advance, but there's 2 things that I need to do, and we'll go over that real quick. But I'm going to sign up for regular work hours. Normally tutors, if they don't have tasks, they would already have been just signed in from putting in their ID and confirming. And I'm going to go ahead and put in their ID to get the sign out. So here you can see, and after 5 seconds, that's going to go away. But it gives them their summary for all their items that we had enabled. Now, a couple of those things were the tutor tasks. So under Administration, Center Management, we have tutor tasks. Each center can define what those tasks are. You just go New Task, choose whatever the name is that you want to, maybe have regular work hours, special projects. It really just requires a name. And instead of making it available in all centers, unless that is the case, you can uncheck that, and then you can choose which centers those are available in. That way each center can have their own tasks that their tutors are working on. Once you have them created, that's great, but you also need to then go under Administration Control Panel, and you need to enable it. So in the walk-in settings for your center settings, when you go down to the tutor section, there is going to be an option that says ask tutors to select a task, and you want to make sure that that's checked. Of course, I already had this checked, so that's why we were able to see it. And of course, if you needed to check it, you would just hit save changes so that that goes into effect and makes that change on your kiosk. Yep. And this is just going over what those settings were that we just went through. So again, you need to create the tutor task. There's going to be administration, center management, and then tutor task. It might say staff task if you change your terminology for your center. It might say advisor tasks, things like that. And then you have to enable them, which again was administration, control panel walk-ins, and then checking that box. Okay. All right. And the next big feature that we have is the special occasion banner. This was something that we added, and our team was creating special occasions for major holidays, US holidays in the system. And now you have the ability to go ahead and set this up yourself. You can remove ones that we had set to be published, and you can also create your own so that you can celebrate any holiday or special occasion across your campus. And how you'd access this is under Administration, Campus Setup, Special Occasion Banners. Once you're there, you're going to go ahead and create a new special occasion banner and go ahead and create all the things for it. So it needs to have a name, so what you want that to be labeled as, and then a banner, and it gives you the suggested size. If you happen to have an image that's too large, like we see this one here, and if I go back to the previous, it just will kind of cut it off, which might work for you, but it will just show the center most of that image. So the closer you can get it to those suggested sizes, I think it says 1920 by 132, the better it will be for that image. Also, we have the start and end date. So when that will go through, like maybe it's a week-long Spirit Week, that you'll have or something like that. Maybe you just want to remind folks even early, so you could have like a thing where it's maybe a reminder for that if there's anything special that you do. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So campus setup and special occasion banners. It does have the little new icon to kind of help you out there. All right, and you can kind of see that we have the system defaults here. And, let's say Father's Day was, maybe something that we wanted to get rid of because, maybe it was insensitive to folks or whatever. I don't know, whatever the case may be, but you could go ahead and remove that and hit accept. And then that's gone from your school's special occasion banners. You could do this with all of them, should you choose. But again, you can come up here to new special occasion banner and create your own. And all it needs to have are those key fields here. So you need the name, the image, the start date, the end date. You have some optional things for confetti so that when they first log in, it's going to kind of pop up with that. I don't have any banners to show right now, but if I click on one of these, you can also see a preview of it by clicking the preview. There we go. All right. All right, and then the next feature we have is an improved SMS module redesigned so that you guys can manage your AccuCredits. AccuCredits, if you're not familiar, are basically the SMS that you're allowed to send through the system. They're usually included with your annual renewal, so maybe people don't really pay much attention unless they run out. So we are basically going to give Accudemia accounts 2,000 credits each, light accounts 1,000 on every renewal. Anything over that you may need to send, you'll have the option now to go ahead and make a prepaid purchase of credits, and then those should be deducted every time you have like either an appointment SMS reminder go out. If you're sending messages directly from like your account to maybe a student's account, if there's like a waiting line message that you send out. So any of the times you use the SMS, that's one Accu credit, is one SMS message, and pretty straightforward. The other cool thing is that we can actually set a low balance notification. So this is going to go out to the admin of the account. When you set this number, you just want to make sure it's like, whenever you have enough time to react and go ahead and purchase those extra credits. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So in my account, we're going to go to my name and preferences and notifications. Now, if I'm an admin, I'm going to have this option here. It says when Accu credits are less than, and I can choose that amount. So in my case, I wanted to have, when it's less than 500, I want to get notified. That way I can go in there quickly and make those prepaid, changes. And then once again, if we look back at the other slide, we're going to be able to manage these in the advanced options here. So let's go ahead and look at that. So we're going to go administration, advanced, and we have this new Accu credit section that wasn't there before. So you can see how many credits I have. Now, in my case, I haven't got close, so I'm good, but I could go ahead and put in my credit card credentials, use it. Keep in mind we're not storing this data, so you would have to do it every time that you needed. That's why we have the notifications. And you can choose like the dollar amount that you'd like to purchase there, and the number of credits, and it will show you, I think it's like 2 cents each. So you can kind of do the math on that. You can also look at your credit history. So it'll show you your usage between each month, and if there was any carryover from the previous renewal, because these will roll over, obviously, like if you're paying for the credits, we want you to still have those. And then each year I'm going to be able to see all the credits used. So I'll know like roughly how much we would use, so I can kind of plan for that in the future. All right. And I think this was the last thing in the features that we had seen where you can have that summary. So you'll see any credits given, any purchases made, they're going to be clearly labeled on there. And now we have the tutor summary report that we've added. So this was something that customers were asking for. This report basically is set up to give you a summary of the total appointments, cancellations, no-shows, anything about the tutor's attendance and appointments. Basically, you can find this in the reports now under the center attendance summaries and then attendance summary by staff. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. We're going to go to data analytics reports where we grab all those. I like searching for the names of the reports, but again, you can go through those steps of center, attendance summaries, and attendance by staff. So centers, attendance summaries, attendance by tutor summary here. And just to kind of give an idea of what that looks like, we can go ahead and run this. I don't know how much data I'll have, but I'll run it for the whole semester. And I can select the location. And run that report. So here we have all the totals here for how many appointments that they attended. And I can see total number of appointments, how many were cancellations, how many were no-shows. Hopefully the numbers look better. I use this mainly for testing, but you get to see exactly how many appointments each staff member were scheduled for as well. with a grand total. So that's a new report. If that's something that you might find helpful, then that's available now for you. And that takes us to the end. So normally we would do a Q&A. I just wanted to provide this as a supplement. When you meet with us on the Tuesday meeting, the second Tuesday of the month, it's going to be consisting of 3 parts. So we hope that you can join us for that. We're going to go over a best practices session with our implementation and client success manager, Rachel Cook. And then it'll be another tech talk like this, as well as a Q&A at the end. So I hope this was beneficial for you, and you have a great rest of your day. Thanks.